A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend. ChristiTutionalist Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and an occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, Pluribus Unum. For those who never learned it in history class, Pluribus Unum, Latin motto for the United States, from many one. Now, I hope I get everything in today because normally you see me waving around notes on the behind the scenes, but I don't have the notes today, but I've got thoughts rummaging in my head, so I'm hoping to all spew from the brain through the mouth out to you. First, foremost, Pluribus Unum, from many one, the great melting pot. The left with their diversity, equity, inclusion, warping and twisting of language is just that, nonsense. Pluribus Unum, from many one, the great American melting pot. From all kinds of different cultures come together to melt and blend and become our own unique American culture. It's not cultural appropriation, borrowing bits and pieces of the cultures that came here to make our overall unique one, or to pay homage to other cultures. Like, oh my God, on Halloween, like, heaven forbid you wear a poncho and a sombrero if you're not Latin, unless you're trying to make a racist statement that generally, for a 99.99999 ad infinitum percentage of people, it's not meant as a slur. It's an homage and part of our unique overall full culture. Diversity, inclusion are not four-letter words when used properly in conjunction with Pluribus Unum. We are the most diverse and inclusive nation on the planet and throughout all history and time. Well, history and time, you get what I mean. That's the same thing. For the benefit of the transcript, yeah, I'm laughing at myself. At any rate, those aren't four-letter words when used properly in connection with the great melting pot. It is when it's bastardized, as the left does, because their diversity and inclusion often includes segregation. That's not diversity. That's not inclusion. That's separation. Yeah, I'm laughing again because it is just so on its face, lacking any and all common sense, but yet woke people with no functioning brain cells somehow think, yeah, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. It's lacking any sense. No common sense. There is no logic in it. There is no thought, no reasoning other than look back on the CTP episode and the LibertyBeacon.com piece. The issue was never the issue. It's all about anti-Americanism and tearing down America to, by, and for the left. One of the thoughts I got rummaging in my mind is referring back to a Before It's News piece on some don't want history taught. And that's true. And I might eventually bring that over officially to thelibertybeacon.com. But for now, bits and pieces of all that are in the Other Public If You Can Keep It, or the USA Past, Present, Future, and school reforms needed episodes and articles at thelibertybeacon.com. They don't want you to know. They want you to know. Let me correct myself. They want you to know enough. They want you to understand the Bradford Colony Mayflower Compact. What they don't tell you, don't teach you, they don't want you to know, it's the Mayflower Commie Compact. And we tried communism on our soil long before Marx came along. Marx and Lenin and Che and Castro and blah, 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 on and on and on, the long list. It fails everywhere, and it failed here. They almost all starved to death. So Bradford went away from the Mayflower Commie Compact, where everyone had equitable shares. No one owned anything. No matter how lazy someone was, they've got equitable portions of food and housing and clothing. And like Jesus said, the poor will always be among you. That's not an economic statement. It's not a governance statement. Well, it is to some degree, because under communism, there are more poor, because the lazy get lazier and lazier, especially if they're going to share in all the spoils. Atlas shrugged eventually, as always happens in communism. So Bradford went away from all that garbage, instituted personal freedom, personal responsibilities tied to the Bible. I'll get to that again in a bit. Individual rights, not collectivist rights, personal property ownership, because when someone actually owns something, they take better care of it. It's just human nature. We're not talking 200 years of human nature here. I'm talking to tens of thousands of years of human nature. That I don't have a degree in psychology, but yes, I studied it and therefore understand it to a degree. Well, I've got to correct myself. It's not to a degree, because I never got a degree, although I have an honorary PhD. That's a whole other story. I don't run around like Dr. Jill Biden claiming Dr. Joseph Leonard. I'm only mentioning it in passing here. I almost never refer to it, but I don't have a degree in it. But to a point is what I mean, of course, by that definition of degree. In some part, understanding it to a point of recognition of a lot of the concepts and things involved in and with human nature. I wish a Psychology 101 course was required in college, along with Economics 101, although with the Marxist professors, they wouldn't get a real economics class, and Civics 101, and Accounting 101, to understand get these idiots to understand the simple concept of both sides of the ledger. You can't just look at income. You can't just look at outflows. You've got to look at both sides of the ledger. But at any rate, back to Bradford. As Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story. And as the other saying goes, the rest was history. The United States went on to be founded by not the Mayflower Commie Compact principles, but the principles Bradford instituted after throwing out the Commie Fasci Sociis Compact. But yet, they don't want that taught in schools. And again, they want the CRT to divide. They want the DEI to divide. It's not diversity inclusion. E Pluribus Unum is. So when I use it, would you go forth and expect you to use it in proper context and ability to explain the difference between E Pluribus Unum and DIE, diversity, inclusion, equity, because that's what it really is. Destroying, killing anti-Americanism, destruction of Western culture. It's about an attack. It's not about progressing. It's about destroying. So at any rate, as I said, I didn't write down any notes, so I know I had to talk about Bradford, check Atlas Shrugged, I mentioned that, right? The history article at beforeitsnews.com, I mentioned that, check. The warping of language, of course, will be included in the extended show notes via the buzzsprout location transcript. Additional episode related sublinks because the left destroys it. This will be old news now because behind the scenes, right? I do this a lot, right? This episode isn't going to plan on airing for several weeks, but today is Friday the 3rd, and the speaker battle just went on. Technically, legally, historically, it will be recorded. Mike Johnson got the speaker gavel on the first vote. Well, that's lacking context. But this isn't about that. The point I'm trying to get to is Hakeem Jeffries and the left, the commie fasci sociocrats, again lied. They always have lied. They continue to lie. They are always going to be liars. He gets up there and says Social Security and Medicare are not entitlements. Of course, you morons have it exactly backwards. They are entitlements. They are a special carve-out piece of legislation that created the Social Security system and Medicare. Not Medicaid, Social Security and Medicare. And the special FICA tax that most, not all, and the left is destroying Social Security, sending it to bankruptcy because they're giving it away to illegal aliens who never paid anything in. But we've paid in, therefore we are entitled by law, by the contract of the act, to get benefits back. Your welfare and your Medicaid are general fund items, which unconstitutional, unpaid for, taken from the general funds, are not entitlements. There is no Medicaid tax. There is no welfare tax. There is unemployment tax. You generally don't really see it taken out of your paycheck, but that helps fund, usually more appropriately under the 10th Amendment, states' rights, the state level. But All these other things are not entitlements. You are not entitled to them just because you want them to be given to you. So at any rate, that's a side rabbit hole. The main point, to make this short, wrap it up, e pluribus unum. Next time a leftist moron spews DIE, rebut back e pluribus unum, and watch the blank stare you get back, because they are clueless, absolutely clueless. They have no idea what's going on. They don't understand our government and how it's supposed to work, nor do they care, because they're only interested in undermining Western culture and destroying it and reigning in their commie, fascist, sociocrat, one-party dictatorial rule forever and ever into the future. So indeed, to wrap it up, you are now armed. I know you knew this already. You needed to hear me remind you of what you already knew, and indeed maybe help guide the phraseology so that going forward, again, anyone says DEI, spew back e pluribus unum, and watch the stupidity pour through their face in their blank stare, because they will have no clue what you're talking about. They continue to lie what you mean, but you show anyone else around you, you know what's going on. They don't. They don't know history. They don't care. Only know how to spew twisted and warping talking points like Hakeem Jeffries did in the well of the House before the gavel was officially given to Mike Johnson as Speaker. Again, behind the scenes, I'm recording Friday, January the 3rd for this a couple weeks from now going to air. So I hope I got all that I needed to out. I think I covered the most important and main notes. I'm looking at a pile of notes that I do have over here in the past. Of course, Doge I speak on. I'm going to speaking on Revelations. Whatever. I'm missing the note of the next into February outlines of topics I was thinking of writing on and talking to you on. Of course, things are fluid, things can change, and last minute the order may change. That's why I don't release a schedule of the next 90 days in advance. At any rate, thank you all. Take care. God bless.
Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Podcast fans, get more about your favorite podcasts via deepcast.fm, transcripts, and all kinds of extra available information on your favorite podcast, including ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, is listed at deepcast.fm, as well as, are you a podcaster? Well, you can claim your free listing and more via Deepcast Pro. Check out tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters for your free listing, and that's the number 4 in there. tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters, the number 4, Deepcast Pro, the number 4 podcasters via tinyurl.com extension. Take care, all. You gotta check them out. Get more out of your podcast. whether you're the podcaster or the podcastee. Yeah, I think I just invented that word. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come, but for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio, Player FM, being 2 in the top 3 platforms that my show, ChristiTutionalist Politics, is most often listened. So thank you all. Take care. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.